Hi guys, SMints here, and I am sitting parked outside of the hospital about to embark on day one of radiation. For those of you who don't already know, first off, I was diagnosed with cancer back in January, and we are now in June of 2020. Great 2020 year. Chalk it up for 2020, cancer. But honestly, if you've been following my story at all, my cancer, cancer is horrible. And when people think about cancer, they tend to think of the worst. And I am so fortunate because my cancer, if you're gonna have cancer, it's probably the best case scenario of what I have. I have stage 1 breast cancer, and I've gone through a double mastectomy. And I knew from the moment they said that I might have cancer that God's hands were all over this, that He had it under control. And I knew that I was going to be cured very, maybe not very quickly or very easily, but without a doubt that I was going to be cured of this cancer. So it never did scare me. And I wanted to use my journey as just an example of a positive can-do attitude. I had this vision. I was going to take you all along for the journey and just see how, positive attitudes can really impact and improve life experiences. And so I had this grand vision, but instead I found my journey was actually quite boring, very, very boring. A lot of waiting, and more waiting to kind of even, waiting to find out, first off, do you really have cancer? And, oh yes, you really have cancer, but how bad is it? Or what's our treatment plan going to be? And, once we identify that, there's a lot of waiting that has to do with waiting to get scheduled, tests and tests. Even if you know the treatment plan, you still have, a battery of tests after that just to confirm without a doubt that the treatment plan that you picked is the right treatment plan. And it all kind of led back to the same conclusion. For me, even though I had stage 1 breast cancer, and even though it was only stage 1, a lumpectomy was not really the right option for me, simply because I had multiple lumps. They were all very, very tiny. And since they were small, it's still considered stage 1. But in addition to the lumps that I had something called DCIS, and it's a cancer before it's invasive. So my lumps, at least one of the lumps had become invasive, but the other one was not. And then the DCIS was not invasive, but it was spread across an 8-centimeter span. And unfortunately, when that happened, they just decided the best thing to do was to remove it. Why do I share this with you? Part of me doesn't know. I'm sharing it with you really, part of it is really to justify what I've done, even though I don't need to justify it with anyone except for myself. But I want you to understand why I've done what I've done, so that you potentially could be a little more open-minded if you're going to come with me through this journey. The surgery went extremely well. It took a lot longer than they were expecting it to take, and that's just because the margins were tiny. So even though the lumps were tiny themselves, the margins were less than 1 millimeter. And since they were so tiny, that's why I've opted to do radiation. And at this point, we're going to do 6 weeks of daily radiation. I start today. I'll be honest, I know God has this under control, but I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not nervous about radiation. I've heard radiation is a walk in the park. I've heard it's really easy, that the side effects are going to be very similar to being out in the sun too long. So I might get tired. I might have some sensitivity where the radiation hit my skin, kind of like a sunburn. And generally that doesn't even happen for the first couple of weeks. Generally that starts to set in around week 3. That's what I've heard, at least. But I am a little nervous because it's a new experience, and I'm looking forward to the new experience. So I'm going to take you along that journey with me. And so tomorrow, I guess we'll chat again. Wish me luck. Take care. Bye.